Hello everyone and welcome to another lesson with me, Anna English, here on English Like a Native. I'm not alone. I'm joined here by the fantastic David Garrido. And David, would you like to tell me a little bit, my audience, not me, but my audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Anna. Yeah, my name is David. I am a presenter on Sky Sports, which is a live sports channel in the UK. So we have a lot of football, golf, cricket, lots of different sports that we show live.
So you know lots about football.
Supposedly, yeah.
Which is fantastic because we are asking the question, what is the best football team in the world? Now, we've all got our own opinions, who we support, and I'd love to know what country you're supporting. Obviously, Sunday is going to be a big day when it comes to football because we have the World Cup finals, which unfortunately don't include England.
Yeah.
I was quite sad about that, but I am very, very happy for the two teams that have achieved the final.
Yep.
What do you think about the World Cup in general this year?
So it's been a really unpredictable tournament.
Yeah.
There were lots of shocks, lots of big teams that didn't do that well, like Germany or Argentina or Spain went out early. And England were quite a success story because they did much better than everyone expected to.
Absolutely. I think it kind of ignited, in the UK particularly, ignited this passion for football again. And many of us had kind of lost interest, people like me, and then suddenly you're seeing these amazing games, these amazing teams coming through, young players doing really, really well.
You did another video on Three Lions and the lyrics of that song. That song comes from a tournament in 1996 called Euro 96. And in that tournament, England played very well, and there was this real fervour, real excitement around the country.
Yeah.
And this tournament in 2018 had a similar flavour.
It really did.
And it's been a long time.
Yeah. But this is also an educational lesson, of course. We're not just here to have a chat about football, although all these types of lessons are good for your listening skills. But today we're going to be concentrating specifically on superlatives. Okay, so I've got quite a few of you in already saying hello, hi. Do feel free to comment. I will comment back if I can. My Patreon room is also open, so patrons, please leave your comment in the Patreon Skype room so I don't miss it, and we'll try and answer any of your questions. But keep them focused on the lesson, on football and on superlatives. So now we're going to go into what exactly is a superlative. So as you know, I always make some notes, so let me bring them up on the screen for you. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, a superlative is a form of adjective or adverb meaning of the highest quality or degree. For example, the best, the most, the worst, the fastest, and the loudest. These are all superlatives. And superlatives are often used when comparing three or more things. David, I always tell my audience that most natives don't know much about grammar rules.
Well, that's true because you don't learn them like grammar, you just learn how to speak.
Now, I've said that superlatives are used when you compare three or more things. Do you know what we use when we compare two things?
Yeah, so it's a comparative, isn't it?
Done. Well, I wouldn't have known that before I became an English teacher. Well done.
My mum's a language teacher, so if I'd have got that wrong, I would have had a phone call straight away. So.
Now, interesting, your surname, it doesn't sound very English.
No, that's
What
right.
is your heritage?
So my parents are both Colombian. It's a Spanish surname. It's very common in Spain, actually, but not very common here. So my bloodline, both my parents are from Colombia.
And you're talking about Spain there. You actually have a YouTube channel of your own, which covers Spanish football?
Yeah, that's right. So if you follow football, you like Spanish football, it's called La Liga. We do Spanish football in English. So if you speak English and you want to find out more about Spanish football, then I have a squad of reporters, all based in Spain, who create videos with me. And it's called La Liga Lowdown. And we've been going for only 3 months, 4 months. So, go check us out because we like to hear from new fans who've got points of view and want to, tell us what they think about Spanish football as well.
There's a link for David's channel also down in the description box below. So if you're interested in Spanish football, you want to see more of David, he really does know his stuff, then head on over and make sure you click that subscribe button for some fantastic videos coming up in the future. So getting back to those superlatives, as David rightly mentioned, we use comparatives when comparing two things. We're not going to worry about comparatives today, but comparative would be using words like better, harder, faster, greater, cleverer. Okay? But today we're just looking at superlatives. Now, a comparative will say that one thing is better than the other, but a superlative says that this is the best. It is at the highest degree, whether it's high or low, you could say best or worst. But let's delve a little deeper, shall we? Okay, so how do we use them? We'd use them with short adjectives. So an adjective usually containing 1 or 2 syllables. Okay, all you have to do to make it a superlative is to add the suffix est. So if the adjective, to add to that, if the adjective ends in a Y, you change the Y to IEST. So for example, pretty would become prettiest, or as I've written here, sporty becomes sportiest. So as I like to make sure that you've got these things in your head, what I'd like you to do now is to write me a sentence, and I'd like you to use a superlative using just 1 or 2 syllables of one of the short adjectives I've just mentioned, and let's see what you guys come up with. I'll correct you if I see it. Patrons, I'm seeing nothing from you. Do I have any patrons in today? I didn't announce this lesson until quite late, so they may be, unless the football's on now. Is there football on now?
No, there's football tomorrow on Saturday. That's the 3rd, 4th place playoff. That's Belgium against England.
And that's Saturday?
That's Saturday.
Oh no, I'm busy Saturday. I really want to watch that game. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, it'll be a good game, but it's because England lost in the semi-final, so did Belgium. It's hard to get motivated again for a game that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, but I think they have to see it as getting experience, because they have to now focus on the next World Cup. They've really got the whole country behind them. They now have to focus, and I think getting that experience with a great team. Belgium were really good.
For both of these teams, losing a semi-final is obviously a horrendous feeling, really emotional.
And we've been there before.
We've been there before, especially in England. But I think actually finishing the tournament on a high, that will give them real sort of positivity going forward.
Yeah,
so,
and it'd be good to come 3rd, I think.
Yeah. It's nice. It's a nice feeling. You kind of actually have a win, you celebrate. You end the tournament on a high. So
well, hopefully I'll be able to tune in.
I think we've got some comments here.
We have got some comments. So we've got Adnan has said, "You are the smartest teacher." Thank you very much.
Teacher's pet, Adnan.
That's a really nice sentence, and you've used capitals and full stops. I wouldn't put a comma before teacher. Otherwise, that's a really nice sentence. Well done. What else do I have? Croatia were the best at defence. Yeah, that's perfect. Well done. Last match was the toughest. Good. Make sure you put a full stop at the end. And I'd probably say the last match to be really, really picky. But the last match was the toughest. That's a great superlative.
What about that one there? Look.
Anna, you are the best teacher ever. Oh, bless. I do have lots of very lovely people who regularly tune in, so thank you to you guys. That reminds me, if you are a fan of football, if you're a fan of this channel, then please do show your appreciation by giving this video a like. All the interactions that you have with these videos help YouTube to know that they're useful, and then YouTube will deliver them to more people, and that'll be helpful to me. Okay, so let's go back to those notes now and move on. So, another little rule. If it's a short word that has a vowel followed by a consonant, then double the consonant.
Oh, yeah.
For example, if we have fat and you're the most fat, you would be the fattest. I am quite fat at the moment with my pregnancy. I think I'm the fattest person in my house. No, I've not got the notes on screen. Hang on, there we go. You can all see it here. I'm the fattest person in my house. Okay, so just a little rule to remember there. But like I said, I don't get too worried about rules. I know some of you love them, but just by practicing on a regular basis will this become second nature. But for those of you who love the rules, it's written down there. Okay, so I've got a few questions for you, David.
Okay.
Using the word old, I'm going to make this a superlative. I'm going to ask you a question. Who is the oldest, there's a superlative, who is the oldest player in the tournament?
Okay, the oldest player in the tournament is the Egypt goalkeeper. He's 45 years of age, which for a footballer is quite old because
say?
most footballers finish their careers around
Geriatric?
35, 36. It's a little bit cruel. His name is Essam El-Hadari. And he's 45 years of age. It's incredible that he's
really
still
good.
playing football.
Amazing.
At a World Cup.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people from Egypt watching. So if you are in Egypt right now, you're from Egypt, then please do say hello in the comments or give this video a like.
What we're going to have to do, if you're from Egypt, we've got to get Anna to do the Mo Salah song. Because Mo Salah plays for Liverpool,
right?
And he's a brilliant player, and
right.
he comes from Egypt, and he's got a special song.
Has he?
Yeah. We might have to do that in another video.
Okay, that's a challenge. I feel it's a challenge. I'm nervous. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. So using the word small as a superlative, it's smallest, and we're asking David, is Croatia the smallest country to reach the finals of a World Cup?
Okay, the answer is no. Croatia are not the smallest country to reach the finals of a World Cup. It's actually Iceland who are the smallest country.
How many people are in Iceland?
About 300,000. And what is amazing is that 30,000 came to the World Cup. So 10% of their population left Iceland and went to Russia.
That's really impressive.
Isn't that crazy?
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
That's commitment to a sport.
And they're also one of the greatest teams, to use another superlative, because they have this fantastic celebration, which they did at the Euros 2 years ago, which was the Viking clap, which is the one where they go like this.
Ah, okay.
And then they go...
And that's called a Viking
quicker.
clap.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. So there you go. I'm learning things now. The Viking clap.
Yeah.
All right, next question, David, is big. What has been the biggest surprise?
Okay. It's a shame this, because actually it's when a big team that doesn't do well, that's a shock, that's a surprise. And Germany were perhaps the biggest shock or surprise, because they went out in the group stage. They finished bottom of their group, and they were the reigning holders of the World Cup. They won the last tournament in Brazil. And actually this time they didn't get through the group stage. Everyone thought they would, and they didn't.
And
it was a
the
real
biggest
disaster
surprise.
for them. Yeah, it was the biggest surprise of the lot.
But I think that's what made the World Cup so interesting this time round, because all the people you expect, all the teams you expected to do well, didn't feature, really.
Yeah.
And we've got a quick question that's come up here from Ivan. Said, hi, I'm Anna from Bulgaria. Hello. What is the superlative of shallow? Is it shallower or more shallow? Well, shallow has 2 syllables, shallow. And therefore, the rules state, of course, there are always exceptions to the rules, but the rules will state that we say shallowest if we're talking about superlatives. It's the most shallow. So we say it's the shallowest. So I dipped my feet in the shallowest pool. So the one that was the least deep. And if you're using a comparative, so it's not the shallowest, but it is shallower than the other one, then of course you lose shallower, which I just used there. Okay, lots of people from Egypt saying hello. Hi, lovely. Oh, Chubbs, there you go. Anna, your friend looks, with an S, looks handsome.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind.
Bit of love for David here.
Oh.
Well, be sure to head over to his channel. His channel is linked down below, the Liga Lowdown, and you can see his lovely face on lots of videos. Okay.
Thank you, very kind. I haven't got my makeup on. I should put some makeup on.
You don't need any makeup,
thank
David. Do you like our new setting, by the way?
I know.
We're here in Wembley Stadium.
Amazing. I don't even know how we got in.
I know, you were 1 minute in my house and then suddenly we're in the stadium. And this is the power of green screen. If you like it, do let me know, because I don't know if you prefer to have green screen or just my normal office room. So let me know. Okay, let's move on. What's the next question? Large.
Okay.
In theory, should the best team come from the largest country? Oh, sorry, no, I'm not reading. Hang on. In theory, should the best team come from the country with the largest population?
I can understand that idea, that you have a lot of people to pick from. So maybe a team like Russia, huge country, big population. Brazil always, also big country, big population. America, but USA didn't actually make the World Cup final. So the answer is no, not necessarily. The best team do not come from the largest country or the largest population. If you think about Croatia, well, they've got through to the final.
Well, what are they, 3-4 million?
That's right, something like that. Yeah. But I think what it is often the countries with the strong leagues. So, for example, France or Italy or Germany or Spain, they tend to do better.
Yeah, because they have the interest, people get involved, they have the
teams, the
communities
clubs
are set up towards training in football and stuff.
But it's interesting actually because I said Italy, they didn't even qualify for the World Cup this time. Germany, I mentioned, they went out in the group stage. Spain went out in the last 16. Italy weren't there. England did go through to the semi-finals. So it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
But generally, the strong teams are the teams with the strong leagues domestically.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on. I'm still seeing no patrons. I can't believe I've got no patrons in today. That's crazy.
What are they doing?
I just must announce it, I think, in future.
Okay.
I think if I do everything last minute, then they get confused. Okay, so here we are. Long adjectives. So we've talked about making short adjectives, superlatives, by adding the suffix. But if it's a long adjective, most of the time we just add most before the adjective. For example, you'd say the most exciting, the most dramatic. We've had some of the most dramatic games I've seen in this World Cup. The most compassionate. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some more questions using these long adjectives, David. And for those of you watching at home, I'd like you to try and make a sentence. It's not that difficult. I don't know why I'm telling you have to try, but it does help for you to keep practicing. Write a sentence using a long adjective and use the word the most before the adjective. And let's see if you've done the correct sentence.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the adjective controversial.
Long adjective.
It is a long adjective.
Yep.
And the question is, what has been the most controversial moment of the tournament so far?
Okay, I think the most controversial moment of the tournament involved perhaps one of the most famous players in the world, and that was Cristiano Ronaldo.
What happened?
Cristiano Ronaldo was in a sort of a clash with another player, and he used his arm, his elbow, and he probably should have got sent off, shown a red card, but he didn't, and he carried on playing, and it was against Iran. And Iran were furious about this. And they were saying, their thought was, well, it's only because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. Had it been any other player, that player would have gone off the pitch.
Yeah.
But he was given special treatment because he's the great Cristiano Ronaldo. So I think that was the most
And what was the
controversial
outcome
moment.
of the game?
So the outcome of the game was that Portugal and Iran drew 1-1. But what was amazing about that game is that Iran had one chance right at the end. If they'd scored that goal, they would have knocked Portugal out anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered if Ronaldo was sent off or not.
Yeah.
Iran could have settled it themselves, and they missed. But even so, it again shows just how unpredictable this whole World Cup has been.
Oh, so can I ask you something? Because there's a few things that confuse me. If someone gets a yellow card, if they get 2 yellow cards in one game, do they get sent off?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And the other thing is, we see these refs that make seemingly bad decisions, and I'm sure it's a very hard job.
Yeah.
You're in the mix of it. Sometimes you can't quite get an eye on it, and before you know it's going to happen, it just happens. So you're not necessarily, you might be daydreaming about what you're going to have for your dinner, right? So they've got a hard job. And then we have all these amazing cameras that catch all sorts of different angles. We can see instantly whether the ref has made the right or wrong decision. So why does someone not step in and say, we've looked at the footage, you've made the wrong call?
So that's what's happened in this World Cup, is that technology has advanced, and now there is something called the Video Assistant Referee. It's known as VAR.
Oh, okay.
And it's a new system that they're using at this World Cup to do exactly what you're suggesting. So the referee makes a call, makes a decision, and then he has an earpiece, and he's in contact with the Video Assistant Referee. And the Video Assistant Referee will be looking at that footage, and if he thinks that the referee's got it wrong, he will flag it up and he'll say, I think you've got that wrong. You might want to look at the footage and change your decision.
Okay.
But the referee doesn't have to do that. He can carry on and say, no, thank you for that. We're going to carry on. So that's caused a lot of controversy because actually more decisions have been got right because actually they've gone through the process, corrected their decision. But equally, it's just been a very, very controversial World Cup, like with the Ronaldo incident and a few others. It's a really hot area of debate.
Yeah.
And it needs to still be perfected.
And this VAR, is it a computer like Siri?
It's a person.
It's a person.
It's
I
a
was gonna
person, but
say.
they're looking at computers with banks of screens
Yeah.
with all the different angles. And the thing is, and working as I do at a UK sports channel, we can see any incident from any number of angles, but it doesn't actually necessarily make your mind up any easier.
Yeah.
You look at one angle, that's definitely a red card.
Yeah.
Look at it from another angle, oh no, I think he got the ball. So it's not always conclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for clearing that up for me.
No worries.
So we talked about controversial, and how now we're going to use the adjective disappointing.
Okay.
And as a superlative, we're going to say the most disappointing.
Yeah.
So the question to you, David, is what has been the most disappointing game so far?
Well, I was on air live for the game that I'm about to talk about, and I actually said, referee, blow your whistle, we've all had enough, because it was that bad. It was a game between France and Denmark, and basically they knew that if they drew the game, they would both go through.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it was fixed, that they deliberately decided before that it would be a draw, but neither of them was really trying that hard.
Right.
And it was 0-0, and there were not that many chances, and I almost fell asleep.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was the most
That
disappointing
was the most
game.
disappointing
France
game.
0, Denmark 0.
Okay, let me see if I can find any sentences here that I can help you guys with. Okay, so the supporters have drawn the most beautiful pictures the World Cup, says Adnan. Again, I picked out yours randomly again. Just don't put the full stop there. The supporters have drawn the most beautiful pictures of the World Cup, I think we'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise good. Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest football player in the world. Good.
Yep.
Very nice. Okay. Sorry, some of these comments make me giggle. This program is very interesting. Thank you very much. So if you were
It's good to
using a
know.
superlative, you'd say the most interesting program on at the moment, perhaps.
Anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Ever. Okay, can I see any more? No. Okay, guys, if I've missed your comment, I will go back and have a look at comments at the end of the broadcast, but I'm going to carry on now for those who aren't watching live but watching the recorded version later. So there's a very important rule when we're looking at long adjectives and we're using most, and it is the rule of the. You must say the most. Let me bring this up on your screen so you can read along with me. You've got, when using superlative adjectives or adverbs before the noun, we should use the, because there is only one of whatever it is we're talking about, because remember, this is the top person, so this is the best player. I've given some examples here to help you out with this rule. This is the hottest day of the year. It's not quite true for today, but it is true.
It's been
of
hotter.
recent times.
Very hot here in the UK.
I am the luckiest man alive, you might say, or it is the best way to learn. We are the fastest runners. So always using the here is very important. Now there's an exception to that rule. We don't need to use the if there is a possessive. So if you're talking about you might talk about my favourite teacher. You don't need to say the favourite teacher. You're making it possessive. He is my favourite player, and this is my laziest goalkeeper. On the subject of goalkeepers, the England goalkeeper, very interesting chap, isn't he?
Yeah, Jordan Pickford. Only 24, I think. He's quite young.
Amazing. And very small for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's not. Most goalkeepers traditionally back in the day were well over 6 foot. So Jordan's a little shorter, but I think the main thing about a goalkeeper is being, I suppose, agile. Is being able to move quickly, anticipate.
Yeah.
And when he saved a penalty against Colombia in the shootout.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Actually, it was one of the best saves that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So
I think
he's good.
some of my most exciting moments throughout all the games, England games that I saw, actually were moments involving his saves. They were just so on the button, so fast and impressive, and sometimes just fingertips.
Yeah.
And it was at full reach. And
yeah, that's right.
Really
Against Colombia and against Sweden, he produced some fantastic saves.
Yeah.
And it's been that tournament where he's really emerged to become one of the best
Yeah.
goalkeepers.
A little bit aggressive though, isn't he?
I think
He
you've
gets
got to
very
be
passionate.
aggressive. Yeah.
He's the most passionate. There we go. He's the most passionate goalkeeper I've seen for a while.
Yeah, but I think you need that.
Yeah.
You know, even when it's other players that are doing the business. There's an amazing camera shot when England scored their goal against Croatia. It was from behind the goalkeeper. It was looking all the way down the pitch, and he's there just waiting to see what's going to happen from this free kick. And Kieran Trippier scores from the free kick. Great free kick. And you see him run back towards his goal, and he's going like this. He's had nothing to do with the goal, but it means so much to him that England are leading in a World Cup semi-final. So, you know, you just really connect with that passion.
Yeah, well, he's a very exciting player, and we look forward to seeing a lot more from him. Okay, jumping back to those all-important rules. You know how I feel about rules, guys, but I will push on with it. So there's another exception to the rule of the, and we don't need the if the superlative is used later in the sentence and not directly before the noun. So, for example, I could say the latest football song is most infuriating. Now, I could also say it's the most infuriating, but it's also grammatically correct to not use the in that case. However, and David will probably agree with me, it sounds really posh, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. That was most disappointing.
It was most disappointing. But there's nothing wrong with sounding posh at all, but that's just something else to be aware of. So, moving on. Really, really important to remember is the irregular adjectives. Let me bring this back up for you. So, these are adjectives we use a lot. So, the adjective good, we don't say gooder or goodest. We say best, as I'm sure most of you are already aware. The adjective bad, we don't say badder or baddest. Oh, we do say baddest, don't we? Sometimes.
But that's I think in a kind of colloquial way. Yeah, it's not grammatically correct.
Okay, so we normally say worst. So he is bad. He is worse as a comparative. He's worse than that. Mm-hmm. And if he's the most bad, then he would be the worst with a T on the end. So just be aware of those because they're very commonly used. So be aware of those irregularities. Then this one comes up quite a lot. Far. As a superlative, this is either farther or farthest. Why have I got fathers there? Hang on. Let me take that out. It's nobody's father. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. That's
the one.
Typo there. I love my typos. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll come to the rule between farther and furthest in a little while. What's the difference? But first of all, David, best. Who? And I'd like everyone to answer this question, please. Who, in your opinion, is, let me put another comma there, is the best football player overall?
Wow, what a question.
It is a question.
$64 million question. Well, listen, because I love Spanish football, the player that I think is the best in the world plays in Spain. He's from Argentina, and his name is Lionel Messi.
Oh, a bit of Messi.
Yeah, a bit of Messi. Can't beat a bit of Messi. He's just so tricky, he's clever, he thinks ahead, he's so skillful, he scores goals. He's humble, he's got the right attitude, he's won so many titles, he's been so successful. Unfortunately, at the World Cup, Argentina went out in the last 16. But he's still got plenty of time. He's 30, 31.
Yeah, he can play till 45, obviously.
We'd love to see him play till 45, it'd be brilliant. So yeah, my favourite player, the best player in the world, in my opinion, is Lionel Messi.
You got some people agreeing with you there.
There'll be some people who don't though. This is such a controversial question. Yeah.
No, I think we have quite a lot of Argentina followers here. If you're Argentinian, please let us know.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Not Hugo though. Hugo says Messi is finished. Oh, okay.
That's harsh.
Okay, so and the next question, the worst. What was the worst game played? I think we've already covered this.
Yeah, the most disappointing game, the worst game. There have been some games where it's been very one-sided. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the first game of the World Cup was Russia 5, Saudi Arabia 0. So I think for Saudi Arabia, that was definitely the worst game.
Yeah.
England beat Panama 6-1.
The worst game for me was the England game where we lost.
against which one? Against Croatia.
Where we lost in total.
Yes,
against
Croatia.
what will hopefully be the champions.
Well,
I always say so. I just want everyone to be happy. I think everyone's a winner, but
football's the winner.
But if we're going to get knocked out, which we were, if you're going to be knocked out, I think it's better to be knocked out of a tournament by the champions.
By the winners, yeah.
And actually, Croatia have never been this far in a tournament before.
That's right.
France has won it before.
Yeah, they've been in 3 finals before.
Exactly.
So this is the 3rd final. So they won in 1998. That was their own home World Cup. And then they got to the final in 2006 where they played Italy and they lost. That was quite a famous, in fact, very, very controversial, perhaps the most controversial moment in a World Cup, because there's a player called Zinedine Zidane.
Yes.
Who headbutted another player.
What?
Yeah. So got angry about something, headbutted the player, and obviously got sent off.
Wow.
And he was a very famous player, very talented. He was in the team that had won the World Cup in '98.
Right.
And then got sent off. And this is their 3rd final in the World Cup.
They all need to take a chill.
Yeah,
Chill pill.
Chill pill.
A chill pill is just a slang term that we use to tell someone to calm down. It's like taking a little tablet that'll make you chill out. But we don't condone that kind of behaviour. Valium, I guess.
Yeah, nothing like that.
But yeah, so I guess my support loosely will be with Croatia, because I'd like to think that we were knocked out by the champions. But, you know...
Yeah.
I think France has got the experience, might hold it together a bit better.
Yeah, I think France are probably the favourites.
Yeah.
But
we'll
Croatia
come
have
to
a
your
chance.
predictions at the end.
Oh,
We'll come
okay,
to your
okay,
predictions
I'll
at the end.
I'll hold back.
Okay, so now let's talk about further and father. What is the difference? And to be honest, this also really confuses me and many natives, and that's because generally they are interchangeable. So when using these correctly, furthest, what have I written there? Furthest, there we go. When remembering which one to use grammatically correctly, then you have to remember the simple rule of farthest is used when referring to physical distance. So if you're travelling across a country, the person who goes the longest distance has travelled the farthest. And it helps because we've got the word far in that word. So just remember that. And generally everything else, anything that's metaphorical, like how far are you through a book? How far along are you with that project? How far would you like me to take the subject? If we're talking metaphorically or figuratively, then we use furthest. Okay? But they are interchangeable, and if in the UK you used either one of these, no one will really bat an eyelid. It is fine. Yeah. But let me ask you the question, who will go furthest in the competition?
Right.
Now, I probably should have asked this much, much earlier in the competition, but let's go with this now. Let's talk about who you think is going to win the World Cup. And now, guys, I want you to give your predictions. I want you to tell me who you think is going to win, what the goal difference is going to be, and who do you think is going to score?
Okay. So, I think that Croatia have been brilliant in this tournament. I think that they've been sometimes very impressive the way they've played, and sometimes they've had to show guts. They came through a penalty shootout against Denmark. They came through a penalty shootout against Russia. They beat England in extra time. They've been so tired, and they've come through every time. So I think that will keep them going. But I feel that maybe they've had their big games, and I think France have got more quality. I think they've got better players. So I think they've got, for example, Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba, one kid who's been brilliant. He's still a teenager, and he's erupted at this World Cup. His name is Kylian Mbappe, and he plays for PSG in France, Paris Saint-Germain, and I think he could be the difference in this game. So I think France will win it. I think it will be 3-1, and I think Mbappe is going to score.
Okay.
He'll score at least one there.
Fantastic. What else do we have? So Hemant is predicting France to win 3-1 also. Okay.
Great prediction. You and me, Hemant. You and me.
In this scenario, we would use a phrase which is great minds think alike. And if someone agrees with you and you're being a bit boastful and thinking that your own ideas are really good, you'd say, oh yeah, great minds think alike. Like me and you are on the same page.
And sometimes you actually do it a shorter version. We just say great minds because it sort of implies the rest of the phrase think alike. So just say Great minds.
Great minds think alike.
Great
Or
minds.
just great minds. Fantastic. What else do we have? Any further predictions? I think France is going to win, says Rodrigo. What else? France, because Croatian, not Croatia players, I think we say Croatian players, must be exhausted.
Yeah.
Well, I think they all must be exhausted by now.
Yeah, but...
Has France had a longer time to recover, or...?
No, not so much that. It's just that Croatia have had longer games because they've been to extra time three times in a row.
Of course they have.
I mean, France, they've managed to get through most of their games in normal time.
Yeah.
So that kind
of and the heat at the moment. I think we're having a worldwide heat wave.
Yeah.
And so...
It's everywhere.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like playing for that amount of time at the level they play at with the heat. Terrible. Where's the World Cup going to be next time round?
It's going to be in Qatar, which is it's in the Gulf, if you like. So it's going to be at a different time of year because of the heat.
Okay.
So normally it's in June, but they've decided at the moment to move it to December, so that it can be cooler for the players and the fans. Remember, and the fans, because there's lots of people who travel to watch these games live and see them with their own eyes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be that's a very controversial topic because some people think it will ruin the football season.
Yeah, because it's always in the summer for us.
It's always in the summer at the end of the season. Yeah.
No, but I think it has to be when the heat isn't too oppressive because it makes such a difference. Mm-hmm. Okay, so guys, I am not going to go any further with the notes, but if you are interested in these notes, they are going to be given to my patrons. Patrons, I'll be dropping them on the Patreon room very soon. I've also added an extra list of the most common superlatives that we use and how to correctly use them. But if you fancy these, they're also available in my website shop, which is also linked below. So yes, I guess all that's left to say is a huge thank you to David for joining us and giving his expert knowledge on football.
Sort of.
You're so fantastic at remembering details. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, never mind what the score was or who scored or all the details you remember, but this is your profession.
Well, we're all geeks. We love it. We're all really into the kind of real details of the sport because there's a lot of facts and figures and they're attached to memories and sometimes great memories and sometimes not so great memories and the emotions that then connect you to football. So that's probably why those things stick in your head. I'm always amazed when I interview footballers. They will know exactly when they scored a certain goal and what that goal was like. It's like it's a sort of a little sort of a selection of videos in their head that they can just always refer to. They know every single goal they ever scored.
Like a Rolodex.
Yeah, that's right.
A Rolodex is a very old-fashioned organising system for addresses, names and numbers.
The index.
Now you just have your contacts list on your phone, but in the old days you had a Rolodex that would move very quickly to find contacts.
Mm-hmm. So it's like they've got this kind of, this video looks like this, then the next one looks like this, and the next one looks like this, and they just remember all of them.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But it's just because that's what football does.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget that David does have its own YouTube channel, which is La Liga Lowdown. Let me get this back up on the screen for you so you can see
La Liga.
And the link for that is down below. So go and
if you love your Spanish football,
it's a new channel
over.
As well, isn't it? It's not been going for long. So he needs the love and support. So if you support Spanish football and you've enjoyed David's help today, then go and check that out. I will love you all. Guys, don't forget you can join me on social media and all those links will be linked down below. I hope you have fun this weekend and enjoy watching the game. Fingers crossed for both teams. I hope that everyone gets the best outcome and that all the fans have a great time. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care and we'll see you again very soon.
Bye.
Bye.